skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just $49 at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only $49. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Bob Thibodeau with the Kingdom Crossroads podcast, and you are listening to Life Transformation Radio with my good friend Sean Douglas. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast so you will not miss any of the upcoming episodes, and be blessed in all that you do.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. And I am here with my friend, Robb Holman. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Sean. How are you doing?
Dude, I'm doing amazing. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Hey, I am so excited because I came across your name, I believe, from a mutual friend, Kim Sutton. And Yep. She had introduced me to you, and doing a little bit of homework about you and who you are. I am so thrilled to get a chance to personally meet you and spend some time with you today. So thanks just for the opportunity. I'm completely honored.
Thank you, man. Kim is absolutely phenomenal. Love what she has going on. So for the listeners just joining us, I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 66 countries, such as the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. Even the Russians are listening to us, Malaysia, and all across Europe. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that has changed our lives and how we use this to help transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us every morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, but make sure to follow some of our 5:30 p.m. episodes. You can join our Facebook community, Life Transformation Radio Community. I ask that you subscribe, rate, and review the show so that we know how we're doing. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, Castbox, and the Google Play Music app, or right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network. Wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts, be sure to subscribe to Life Transformation Radio. On the show are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, executive coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And Robb does just that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show, this is a live show, so you can call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number 657-383-1109. So let's get to know our guest today, Robb Holman. Robb is an internationally recognized leadership expert, executive coach, keynote speaker, podcast co-host, and best-selling author who has a heart for authentic relationships and a true talent for equipping people with the skills and knowledge necessary for their success. His work has been featured in top publications like Inc., Forbes, and Fast Company, and endorsed by many of the world's top leadership thinkers. With passion and exuberance, Robb's dynamic teaching style has successfully led thousands of business owners, executives, and leaders through his exclusive and proprietary method of Inside Out Leadership Coaching. In helping his clients learn how to connect with their unique life's purpose, they are finding success in a way they never expected, from the inside out. As a lifelong serial entrepreneur, Robb has founded numerous highly influential organizations, both for-profit as well as non-profit. His current endeavor is as best-selling author of Lead the Way, and CEO of Holman International, a global leadership consultancy revolutionizing the way business leaders operate. To know more about Robb and what he's up to, go to his website at www.robb, Robb Holman, HOLMAN, RobbHolman.com. To get his book, go to leadthewaybook.com. And he's on Twitter and all kinds of other social media. So, man, I love leadership, by the way. I mean, being like military background and, knowing and having taught some John Maxwell courses and read his books and Mark Sanborn and all those guys, dude, I am so pumped to talk leadership today with you.
Hey, trust me, I am too. Anytime I'm around a leader, an aspiring leader, a leadership expert like yourself, I am all ears. So I have just as much to learn from this conversation as hopefully I have to give, Shawn. So thanks again for the opportunity. And as they say, iron sharpens iron. So looking forward to a great conversation.
So I'm a leadership speaker, but I don't really advertise myself as like a leadership expert. I'm usually like the resilience guy, the business strategist, the positioning and all that. But I have leadership talks. And the one thing that I make clear in my talk is that leaders have one job. They have one job only, and that is to build up other leaders around them. That's it. That's their job. Now, if you're a manager or something, you have other tasks, but a leader's only purpose in life is to build other leaders. What do you think?
Could not agree more. So true. I think it's you reproduce who you are. And the core of my message is if you want to do that most effectively, it begins with you. And the more that you, that whole self-leadership, because I find that so many leaders are out there and leading and encouraging and inspiring those that they have influence in all around them. However, to what expense? A lot of times people are these leaders that are doing a great job, that have a heart to want to ignite and inspire and motivate and say, let's climb the mountain together. Who's in? And let's go and do this. Sometimes they will do it at the expense of themselves. And I have found, Shawn, I wonder if you found the same thing. I just find so many leaders that I work with, I speak to, are either on the verge of being burnout or they're already there. And for me, if we can just really hone in on the leader themselves, talk about what personal leadership is, self-leadership, because, at the end of the day, we can only give what we got. And so if we are healthy and we're vibrant and we're personally inspired, guess what? We can give away those things to other people that we are leading. And so it truly is that inside out approach. And I just find that when we are on point with our own personal leadership and taking care of ourselves and making sure that, again, we remain passionate and filled with energy and enthusiasm for, on point with our life purpose, our life vision, now we give out of that place. We almost become like a living and active fire hydrant, if you will, with positivity and inspiration that others around you can't help but get wet and get soaked because you're just so filled up and you're overflowing.
Oh, I love it, man. Absolutely couldn't agree more. So tell me, what is your deep why for what you do? Why did you choose leadership?
Yeah, for me, I've always been one of these kids. I'll go back a little bit. I was never the smartest kid in school. I got to be really honest with you, Shawn. I'm just not, and I'm still to this day, honestly. If I could be truly transparent, I'm just not the smartest guy. So for me, though, at a young age, teachers and people in my life, mentors would always say, but Robb, people are drawn to you. You have influence. Now, at an early age, I didn't really have a clue with what that meant. But as I started to live life and I started to notice that there's a diverse group of people in my life that are looking to me. They're looking to me for encouragement. They're looking to me for some answers. They're actually beginning to follow me. Even if I was at a younger age doing the right thing or not doing the right thing, people would begin to follow. And so for me, just this acknowledgement over the years, I've, in obviously recent years and really said, okay, how can I be a really good steward of the people that are in my life and the influence that I have? And I've got to share this with you. A huge wake-up call for me was my senior year of college. I was 21 years old, heading into my senior year of college. I went to a small private college, about 3,000 undergrad. right outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's a school called Widener University. And I was a captain of the basketball team. We were NCAA tournament bound my senior year. But one big problem, Shawn, going into my senior year, I had a mass in my abdomen that was extremely painful. Well, I kind of dealt with it all summer. My mom really encouraged me to go to the doctor, and I said, no, I'm fine, it'll go away. And it never did, throughout the course of the summer. So as soon as I went to the college campus, I got my basketball physical in like late August, heading into my senior year. Well, the doctor checks me out for my annual basketball physical, and basically they said, you need to get tests done right away. Now, I've got to share this with you. Purpose for me leading up to this point, quite honestly, was winning the next basketball game, was going out with the guys and drinking on the weekends. I mean, that was purpose for me. But what happened was this condition, I got CAT scans, MRIs, ultrasounds. The mass was so unusual that the doctors actually were not ruling out cancer. They didn't clearly know what it was for about a month and a half, and I was a wreck. I mean, spiritually, emotionally, and now physically, I didn't know which way was up. I was starting to miss some of the preseason in basketball until what I'm about to share with you completely changed the trajectory of my life. After a month and a half, I go into an ultrasound specialist that I had not previously seen. They check me out. And when they checked me out this time, they said, Rob, I cannot even begin to explain what I'm about to share with you. You absolutely have no mass now. And now they said, no, I want you to really take a look at the ultrasound screen because I'm going to show you and tell you yet a second time. Shawn, when they shared with me a second time this clear mass I had going in, that I no longer had it, it was like spiritual fireworks going off in the depth of my being. And I coming out of that, literally doctors were saying it was a modern day miracle. Coming out of a miraculous turn of events like that, I started asking a whole different series and set of questions. Why am I here? Who am I? God, what are the plans that you have for me? And little did I know, over 21 years later now, I would be helping leaders all around the world discover, rediscover why they exist and live according to it. So it's just, it baffles me to this day. I just want to be a good steward of who God's entrusting in my care.
Right. Wow.
So, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So people ask me all the time, they say, well, Rob, what's your purpose? It might sound a little funny, but my purpose is to help other people discover, rediscover their purpose.
Yeah.
So,
heck yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I love it. So would you say that that's the defining moment then? Like that was the moment that really transformed your life? It was like, okay, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm heading down this path now. Yeah.
I mean, I really didn't even know what it meant. All I knew is my life was, it was changed and it was changing. Here, I'm still 21 years old, right? So we wanted to finish up my senior year. Now I'm asking these series of questions I never asked before. And I think slowly but surely, it's like how life works oftentimes. You have a wake-up call, and it doesn't have to be as extreme as my situation. It could be subtle. I think we all have wake-up calls, and they come in times of great blessing, like the birth of your first child, or they could be in times of great tragedy or challenge or major obstacles. But nonetheless, it's like, what do we begin to do with it when we come across it? We know we're maybe changed in the moment, in the time, but what's it all mean? And I think in time, for me personally, it started to become more and more uncovered or unveiled the more that I live life and learned about and to appreciate what it means to be present with people in my life.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, the more present I was, and it was interesting, Shawn, because of this new perspective on life and asking questions I never asked before, it was almost as though life was slowing down for me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And in the slowing down, I could begin to appreciate people and things, and dare I even say myself, a little bit more than I ever have before. And as things started to slow down, it was really interesting as far as my perspective on life and myself and others just started to shift and change for the better. And then before long, and being more present because of that perspective with people, I think it was just like things just began slowly but surely started to become more unveiled in my life the more I lived it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like, because this is what I love about the show, is that, we all go through this adversity. We always go through, what some call the dark night of the soul, right? I mean, we're in this place where, like, man, I don't know, like, it's really uneasy. And so a lot of times people will find their religion, or they'll find God, or they'll find their purpose, or they'll, like, that's what I love, right? So it's almost like sometimes our dark moments are sometimes our most transformational, right? Our darkest time is some of the most transforming. And that's why I love the show. We have guests on the show that really go deep into their transformational moments. We've had people that have had their parents were murdered. They were running from a domestic violent relationship. They were, addicts. They were, like, all these people come from all these different places, but it's all one thing, in that their darkest moment was their most transformational. Yeah. So I want to thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate that.
Oh, well, it's a joy to do so, because I think there's great power in story. And I believe when we are not only aware, but we embrace our own personal story. And here's the cool thing, right? I mean, I know we both know this. It's out of 7.5 billion, 8 billion people on the earth today, there's no one like you. There's no one like me. There's no one like people tuning in today. And that's pretty remarkable if we can soak in our uniqueness and the significance that each of us have. And I think our personal story, and our story continues. It's like we might have these milestone moments along the way, these wake-up calls, these pivotal moments and times. But the cool thing is our story continues to be unveiled. And the more, again, that we own our personal story, and we get to hear other people's stories and how awesome and powerful they are, we find out we're far more connected than we all realize, which is pretty cool.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. So in reading your bio, there's a lot there, like the Inside Out, leadership training and coaching. Talk to me about that. What's all that about?
So here's what I found. I'm what people probably call a serial entrepreneur. So starting about, I'm just so, I don't know, so honored to have an opportunity, Shawn, to start in the last 21 years since the story I shared with you, about 9 organizations, 6 for-profit, 3 nonprofit. And here's what I've discovered just through own personal experience in building and also helping others build companies is there is lack of engagement. As leaders and team members, and this could be small, medium, or large-sized companies, there's lack of engagement, not to mention my own personal experience with lack of engagement, but also there was back in 2014, a Deloitte University Press article that was written. Now, these stats might blow you away. I don't know. I was blown away by them. That nearly 90% of the average worker, small, medium, or large-sized business, they're disengaged. Nearly 90%. What's even more what's even more alarming than that is nearly 80% are the leaders of those worker bees and team members. So at the end of the day, the average worker and the average leader is very disengaged. And I'll even define disengagement as lack of meaningful purpose and vision in what they're doing day in and day out as a profession. But here's the thing. Leaders know there's a problem. I mean, even in the United States alone, over $500 billion is being thrown at that problem to try to rectify it, to try to stop the problem and try to turn it around and everything like that. But here's what I'm finding. What leaders are actually throwing at that problem, I'm not saying it's bad, but I think there's a better way. They're throwing the latest and greatest motivational techniques and strategies to become better leaders, and that's needed. But what I'm finding is there's a disconnect from one's personal life infused into the professional. So in steps Inside Out Leadership. We could talk all day about how to be a more effective leader, but again, if we can really take a deeper look within that personal or self-leadership, now you give what you got. So case in point, the more you understand your personal purpose and live according to it, the more you understand your personal vision and live according to it, now you go into the workplace because you are who you are wherever you are. and only to see that used in what you do. And you talk about peak performance at that time. So I want to see people understand who they are, inside and out, only to see that impact and leave a positive impression in the workplace as well.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow, those stats are that's so crazy. We talk about corporate burnout, or we talk about burning out in our lives or whatever, but when you hear the stats like that, man.
Yeah.
It's alarming.
It's eye-opening. And Shawn, when I came across them, then I started to take a look at my own entrepreneurial journey with my own team members, my strategic partners, and I think here's the thing. I'll even speak, for entrepreneurs or even small business owners for a moment. You might start out with personal vision and personal, passion and even to see that, infused into what you do and now starting a company surrounding some of your core values, and you're off and running and you're filled with passion and purpose and you're going in the early stages. But here's what begins to happen. Life happens. And all of a sudden people begin to get tired. And then they employ a couple people or they hire new team members only to find out maybe they didn't hire the right person. And all this stuff begins to happen that weighs on the business owner or the leader. And before long, they lose, in a sense, their first love, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like they fell out of love and passion for why they got into it in the first place. Yep.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Yeah, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I chose the wrong business. Like I'm over it. That's what they start. So that's what happens. I'm over it. I don't care. Like,
I don't care. And it's like, I always go back to, business relationships is like a healthy marriage. It's easy for couples that have even been married for, 10 plus years or whatever length of time.
Yeah.
I've heard from people, well, I guess we've just fallen out of love. Well, okay. My question is, and I'm not a relational counselor by any stretch, but I'm like, okay, so are you doing some intentional things to make sure to work on the relationship and ignite the flame again of the, and business is the same thing. We got to be intentional about some foundational things. I call them the foundations of Inside Out Leadership. We've got to be very intentional revisiting some foundations, but also we've got to live by certain convictions of the heart that really are going to help us, with vibrancy and long-term sustainability as people, even before being leaders,
Right. Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, and I've built 3 businesses, successful businesses, all different. And the one thing that I always hold true was that I turned something that I was very passionate about into profit. And I learned how to monetize my passions into something that I would love. Like if I had to do something every day, like what would that be? And so we have people that go to jobs that they hate. They wake up every day of their life and go to a job that they absolutely hate only because they need it to pay the bills. That is not how I want to live my life. I refuse. I will do anything else. I'll deliver pizza if I have to. But there's no way that I'm going to go to work in a suit and tie and put out a smile for people and be miserable. It's just not going to happen for me. And that's what I think the lure of entrepreneurship is that you don't conform to anyone's rules. If I want to drop it, I can just drop it and move on to something else, which I will, but some people do. Yeah. If I decide, you know what, Life Transformation Radio, I don't want to do it no more. I just don't do it anymore. Like, it doesn't affect anybody, you know? So, CEOs and stuff, like, you have employees and you have all these people that you need to look out for. So, I can't just wake up and go to a job that I hate every day. I can't do it.
You and I are, for lack of a better term, 2 peas in the pod, my brother. I am the same way. I honestly am the same way. I just feel like life is way too short, and it is way too significant. Then to wait, some people would say, wait 20 years to do what you want to do. I'm like, can you even wait the next couple of years? I mean, let's even be honest, the last couple months or even couple days. it doesn't mean that right away people have to earn an entire living doing what they're doing, but what steps can we begin to take to make sure that we're operating and functioning out of a place of purpose and passion? And I think, a lot of people are asking the question, okay, well, it sounds great, Rob, it sounds great, Shawn, but I don't really know, I don't really know why I'm here. And one of the things part of my whole purpose message in my Inside Out Leadership is, if you want to understand why you're here, the big WHY question, your existence personally, I believe the first step is really understanding and embracing who you are first. Because I find that so many people are out there comparing themselves with other people.
My gosh.
Shawn, right? I mean, I call it the if-I syndrome. If I just had more money like this person, if I just had the looks, if I just had the power, if I, and people are exerting all this energy. I mean, it's how we channel our energy. And at the end of the day, if people are focused subconsciously and consciously more on becoming someone else, that is unhealthy striving, and that gives them the unhealthy self-help kind of stuff. I would much rather begin to take a self-discovery journey to rediscover the seeds of greatness that are on the inside of me. Now, there's no need for comparison. And so if we want to understand our personal purpose and live according to it, I believe the first step is understand and embrace who you are. So I've kind of identified maybe even 5 practical ways that people can do that. And one is, what are your personal core values? At the end of the day, people are making decisions out of a certain place all day long. Deep convictions of the heart, these things you stand by, you stand firm in, you stand for. What would you say? One of mine is commitment. I'm a huge commitment guy. Mm-hmm. And so that's one area. The second area could be what are your natural talents? Some would call them strengths. What are the things ever since you were a little kid that used to come a little easier to you? That it wasn't as much like hard work. It just came more naturally, and there's a lot of positive fruit that comes from it, and people are impacted by it. Third is, what are your passion areas? The things whether it's work-related, pleasure, whatever, it actually has you leaping out of bed in the morning to go and do and to accomplish. And the fourth is, what are your personal life milestones? The things that have happened throughout the course of your life, good, bad, and ugly, that have helped shape you to become the person you are today, here and in the present moment. And then lastly, what would you say your primary gift in life is? Meaning, the moment that you were born, you're given this primary gift, not to be meant for selfish gain or for yourself, but a gift is to be meant for other people down the raft. So when you're no longer on earth anymore, it's a legacy you leave behind upon the earth and those that you had a chance to influence. And I find out when you begin to take a closer look at those 5 areas and have a really honest conversation with yourself, now you begin soaking in your uniqueness. In the midst of that, on the coattails of that affirmation, that great encouragement, I believe people are greatly inspired, and you can't help but ask, okay, in light of my uniqueness and who I am, why am I here? And then begin to grapple with that question.
I love it, man. Yeah, I'm a huge core values guy. Just, a lot of it comes from the military background. And so one of my, so I have 10 rules to engage success. In order to fully accept and engage into what it takes to be successful, there are 10 things that you mmust do. The first one is have a why. You must have a why for what you do. Yeah. And then the second one is gratitude. You have to have, you got to be thankful. You got to hunt the good stuff. And then the third one is core values. You must know what your core values are. You must know what you stand for. Number 4 is simplify the process. Number 5 is build your board of directors. If every major company has a board of directors, then why are we not building our personal board of directors for our life to guide us, to mold us, to mentor us? That's getting a mentor, right? And then number 7 is capitalize on your strengths. Everybody has a unique set of strengths. You need to capitalize on those and outsource the rest. We spend way too much time on, I'll just save some money by figuring out this program myself. Or you can save time and money and just pay someone to do it real quick, get what you need, and move on, right? But we get stuck. We get stuck in trying to do it all ourselves. Number 8 is daily habits. You must have positive daily habits every day, whether it be a meditation practice, mindfulness practice, exercise, eat right, like whatever your daily habits are, you need to have a daily habit. And then number 9 is mindfulness, and number 10 is make it happen. You got to make it happen no matter what. So if you engage these 10 things, I believe will engage the most amount of success possible.
I love it, man. And I'll tell you, I think it was your number 2, that gratitude. If you think of gratitude, what helps, maybe if you think of purpose, the gratitude, I call it like a deep conviction of the heart, like living a life of gratitude. And it starts with discipline. If we got to work out that muscle, for lack of a better term. We really do. It's a gratitude muscle because think of how negative, the gravitational pull of how negative our culture is. We wake up in the morning and the temptations to just let the world kind of dictate and take control of us is right there. And so if you think about it, people oftentimes will wake up, and one of the first things they do, they'll hop on social media, they'll return emails, everything. I just said no. I want to take the bull by the horns of my own life. As soon as I awake, I want to just give thanks. I want to have a time of gratitude of the people and the things that I am most grateful for, and the more specific I can be, the better. And I'll tell you, Shawn, some mornings I spend maybe 10 or 15 minutes in gratitude. Others I spend up to an hour. It really depends on the day. And now I've incorporated my whole family in that process. This morning, I have 3 young kids, 10, 8, and soon to be 3. And the family, we're acting out what we're thankful for together as a family today to start our day. And I've just found when you actually begin your day with intentional gratitude, you can't help but now begin to look for the good around you and in you throughout the course of the day, as opposed to being bombarded and letting the negativity have its way with you. So I just find, for me, gratitude is absolutely enormous, and it kind of pushes back all the negativity that swarms around us throughout the course of the day. And listen, it's like gratitude has everything to do with having a positive, and I call higher perspective. Because then if you're living a life of a healthy perspective, a life of gratitude, now when life happens and a curveball is thrown our way, it's out of what place are we approaching it? And I just find that when we're going to approach it out of a much different place when we're living a life of gratitude.
Oh, 100%. 100%. So I call it like hunt the good stuff. You got to hunt the good stuff in every situation. But there's a real mindset shift that happens inside you when you understand that life is not happening to you, but it's happening for you. Everything that happens is happening for you in one way or another. So once you accept the fact that, okay, how is this going to help me? Is it going to help me? Is it going to hurt me? And most people are like, oh, I can't believe this just happened. This is hurting me. And this is, but not all the time. Sometimes the door needs to be shut on an ugly relationship for you to move on. So either you do it yourself, or the universe is going to do it for you. And sometimes we just need a swift kick in the butt to move ourselves from one place to another because we're so stubborn. And a lot of people get stuck in that place of comfort in it, right? So they're in that comfort zone. They put their mailbox, they put their address, they've stamped it right here in this adversity, in this comfort zone, and they refuse to move until something comes and knocks them over. And they're like, man, this is so bad. I'm like, this is awesome for you. Like, this is a growth moment. And so, yeah, man, I firmly believe that every single thing is happening for me in one way or another, either to grow me, stretch me, something, but not every single thing is here to hurt me.
Yeah, so good. And how I'll talk about it is, a lot of times people say, well, I'm kind of they'll use this term, I'm kind of in like a wilderness season. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? Well, it's dry. I feel lonely, that. And I say, I get it. But can we redefine what wilderness can mean for you?
Right.
Wilderness doesn't, I think so much it's reframing. It's thinking through things in a different light. And that's what you're bringing out, which I love what you're saying. Because if we now don't go down that road like saying, okay, wilderness doesn't have to mean being alone and like, I guess I'm always this is my lot in life. I guess it's always going to be this way. But no, what's the opportunity in a wilderness season? How can we actually better define or redefine what wilderness really means, as far as maybe a person that's in your life that can come alongside and assist and encourage you, maybe an outlook on life that would never be there otherwise, unless, et cetera,
Yep, 100%. Man, you're right, man. 2 peas in a pot over here. I love it.
We need to talk a little bit more often.
Dude, we need to talk. Wow, we need to talk a little bit more. So moving forward, I'm very curious as to how, not really like the how, but what is your approach to finding someone's unique purpose? Because a lot of my listeners are a little bit older, 30, 40 years old, and even I got some, I got a demographic that's, in their 50s that listen to my show. And so it's, what I love is that like Gary Vaynerchuk will say something like, if you're 40, if you're 50, you still have a lot of life left. So it's never too late to start over. And then I heard somebody else go, the 50 is the new 40, or you can always start over. Another day is another opportunity, and I love that stuff. So what is your message to someone, either as a speaker, as a coach? What is your message to someone who may be a little bit older, who's like, man, I still haven't found my purpose?
Yeah. Number one, they need to be encouraged that their best years are ahead. Majority of people that write books and come up with content and have a life message impacting people one person at a time, doesn't have to be thousands of people, but one person at a time, being extremely impactful, are people over the age of 65. Some of the most influential books that have ever been written and messages to be had are done by the people over the age of 65. So your best years are ahead. I think on the coattails of me talking about, really think through again who you are and be encouraged in that. Go through a process of self-discovery all over again in this season of your life. That's going to be a great encouragement, great affirmation based on everything I just shared, and Shawn, that you shared as well. I think on the coattails of that, in understanding and embracing who we are in any given season, is now start to ask the question, so in light of who I am, especially in this season, what is a problem personally that I see in this world that when I hear it, I come across it, I read about it, I talk to others, or I listen in another conversation. When I come across this thing, this problem, it could be an injustice, it could be whatever it is, there's a part of you deep on the inside that says, not on my watch that's going to happen anymore. And what can I be doing? And so it's clearly identifying that personal problem and then saying, how then could I be a solution for that problem? So I've clearly identified personally of a major problem with leaders all around the world, wherever you are, regardless of the culture you live in, regardless of all these different things, is the average leader is going a little bit more, again, the lack of engagement is going through the motions far more, and they're burnt out and don't even realize it in many cases. So for me, that drives me up the wall, because I'm thinking, my goodness, you're in an influential leadership position or role, and you can be much more effective in what you do with the people that you have a chance to impact all around. So I'm like, life is way too short. So I want to come alongside of them, whether through speaking engagements or coaching and training, because I'm saying something rises up within me because I've clearly identified that problem that drives me up the wall, statistics to back it up that I share with you in the beginning of the show, that I'm like, okay, as long as I live, I've got to do something about this. And I've been able slowly but surely to make a living and monetize that. And so I encourage that listener that's like, spend time discovering or rediscovering yourself all over again, and in through that process, really begin to ask the question of what is a problem that, lights you on fire to be like, I got to do something to solve it. And if you can slowly but surely start to address and answer and work towards being a greater good of a solution to that problem, you're way on your way of purpose. And I will say this, Shawn, that at the end of the day, purpose isn't something that you can just necessarily clearly define and put up on a wall and everything. Purpose is so deep. It's so great. It's so I mean, inspirational that even words can't even adequately describe it once you kind of land in your purpose and begin to see that unveiled. So I just want to, and purpose does supersede goals and accomplishments. I mean, I know even athletes, superior athletes like the Tom Brady's of the world or the Michael Phelps and swimming and whatever. And so many athletes have made their purpose their next goal. When I'm not against goals, there's a place for them. But if our purpose just becomes the next goal we have, then what? So it's got to supersede goals and accomplishments at the same time.
I love that, man. I love that. Anybody listening, that was a huge, eye-opening growth mindset moment. Huge. Because there's, what I notice, when I'm speaking and doing different things, they believe that they're one breakthrough away. They're one decision away. They just don't know what it is. So it takes you or me or somebody else to go in and say this one thing or reframe their mindset this one way to look at it from the other side, and then they have the breakthrough. And then they have the moment. And that's what I live for, is those moments.
Isn't it those moments when the light bulb goes on? There's nothing like it. When the light bulb goes on, there's that epiphany. It's an aha moment of like, wow, I don't know exactly what's happening to me, but I know my life will never be the same. And slowly but surely, the trajectory of our lives begin to change. Yep,
absolutely. So what is next for you in 2019? What are you working on?
Yeah, great question. So my second book, the follow-up to Lead the Way, this is so cool, I'm handing the manuscript to my chief editor in just a few days. And that is such an exciting thing. And so it's going to be a follow-up to Lead the Way. If my first book in Lead the Way was more about personal and self-leadership, this book's going to be more geared towards teams. At the end of the day, how can teams function and operate in unity with passion and purpose? And so it feels so good, Shawn. I know you can appreciate this as an author when you get your manuscript far from perfect and finished in a sense, but when you get your rough meets rough copy and you get it in the hands of your editor and your editing team, it feels pretty good. like a sigh of relief, like yeah. So that'll go in the next couple of days, and we'll go back and forth, and it'll go to my self-publishing arm, but we're hoping that that's going to be released Black Friday of 2019. And so that's about a year away. So that's on the horizon, the next book. But my next project within my company, Holman International, is I'm working on a leadership school, developing a leadership school. And we're going to begin with online leadership. Yeah, an online leadership course that I'm hoping to finish up in the next few months. And then that'll be available for people as well. So.
Very cool. I like that, man.
Yeah, I don't like sitting still, Shawn. Can you tell?
No, I couldn't. I think you'd make a great speaker, man. You should try that.
Hey, I'll tell you. I know you do quite a bit of speaking with the influence and impact you're having with people all over with your message and helping people with their purpose and as well. But there is something that's so humbling when you do have a core message on your heart, and there's now forums and venues with people that bring you in to be able to share that message. I mean, there's like nothing like it, is there?
No, I mean, it's just, there's nothing like it. I live for the moments where after, even if I get a standing ovation or not, it's whatever. But the moment after, I put either the microphone down or whatever, and there's like 3 or 4 or 5 people standing there, and they're like, man, I got to tell you, I was facing this one thing, and, I'm very optimistic now. Or, wow, that was so good. I know someone that needs to hear this message. Do you have a car? Can I pass your information on? Can I, that's what I love the most. Mm-hmm. Is where people come up to me and say, oh my gosh, I know someone that needs to hear this, or this was so amazing for my life and this is how I took it in, or whatever. Like, that's what I live for. You know,
Right.
is that I'm really like, that's the metric that I use, that I'm making a difference. If everybody just got up and walked out of the room like, man, did I reach anybody, or I don't know.
Yeah.
But when you have people that come up to you and they're like, man, that was so good and I really appreciate it, and then you're even in the hallway, like, talking to somebody like, hey, that was so good, thank you so much. You're like, oh, thank you. And like, people are just like passing by you like, you rock. You're like, yes, thank you. You know, and so it's like, that's like, you're changing lives.
You are. And, you know, I don't know if you found the same thing with the groups of people, regardless of size, that I speak in front of or with. There's nothing that will ever replace impacting the one life. There's just something about spending time with the one person, whether that's in a conversation immediately following a speaking engagement, whether that's someone contacts me via email that's been impacted in a positive way through my messaging, or I go out and grab a cup of coffee, or I'm talking to someone like yourself, you know, and just seeing the synergy. And for me, it's about the one. And when I'm just a firm believer, Shawn, that when you're faithful with the one, you're present with the one that's before you. That you'll eventually reach the masses, but you'll reach the masses in and by and through the one. And I think that message is really important, especially in a culture that masses really excite people. You know, because the more people you get in the room, the better, and we're gonna, you know, the energy and the enthusiasm and you know, like the impact's being there with thousands of people potentially, or hundreds of people. But I found, like, I find myself saying, you know, God, show me the one person today that's really receptive. Show me the one person that, and sometimes you're bumping into them at a convenience store on the way home from work, or a speaking gig, or whatever. And other times it's a person that's interested in what you have to offer, or sometimes it's a coaching client, and you can't help it in those moments to really soak in the importance of that person, the importance of that moment. And that in that, being present, that there's much more happening out of that place than we would ever even realize. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it, man. For those that are listening, if anything has resonated with you, you can call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. We are live right now on the Blog Talk Radio Network on Life Transformation Radio with my guest, Robb Holman. So as we start to wrap up the show, I want to talk quickly about your book, specifically Lead the Way. What did you want the readers to know or to do after reading this book?
Yeah, I really want them to understand, if you understand the importance of purpose, and you long for greater purpose in your life, answering or re-answering the why question, that's going to come about through personal discovery. And when you embrace who you are, regardless of your age, regardless if you've done that before, if you were on point with it years ago, whatever the case may be, but when you are committed to a self-discovery process, you begin to be inspired, encouraged, and affirmed with your uniqueness. And out of that place, now you begin to ask questions that would never be there otherwise. Why am I here? Now take a look at your influence that you have in the area of business and your career and your profession, and start to ask subsequent questions on the coattails of that. So really, for me, at the end of the day, Shawn, it is helping people understand that if you want to understand your unique purpose and live according to it, it begins with your personal self-discovery process, and which I mentioned, you know, a few minutes back, and discovering, rediscovering those 5 key areas of your life. So I think if people embrace who they are, they will begin to find out why they're here. And watch out when you do, because now if you're the owner of a company, you're a leader within a company, whatever the case may be, you're going to start to live with more passion, more purpose, more vision. You're going to begin to have more of a bump, a pop in your step when you go to work, when you engage in work. You're going to be much more engaged in what you do because you know who you are, you know why you're here. at the end of the day, it's all about people. Life's about people. And there are people surrounding you throughout the course of the day and what you do. And there's an opportunity to influence and lead those people into a much greater and more significant place. But it starts with you as the leader. So I just want to fan that, and lead the way is a way of me fanning that in the self-discovery process. And I've been so encouraged too, Shawn, that there's sort of surely this lead the way movement that's beginning to grow organically even.
Mm-hmm.
That people are saying, I want to be a part of this lead the way movement, this kind of personal leadership. And out of that place, you're giving others what you got and starting to influence others in a very positive fashion. So I just am asking the question, okay, how can I be a better steward of this lead the way movement of people that now have been entrusted in my care? And really, how can I serve them? How can I encourage and further inspire them? And quite frankly, even put out some products and some services in the future that would really help, meet some of those needs of those individuals and the community at large. And I want to be able to do that. I think so much of life is about stewardship. I mean, would you agree with that? I mean, stewardship is such a big thing.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
And I love living by example and leading by example.
Yeah.
I always believe that you have to buy what you're selling, right? Mm-hmm. So if my core value is, honesty, integrity, loyalty, things like that, and I tell somebody, well, you need to be doing it this way, or, hey, I live my life by this principle, whatever. Yeah, it looks good on Facebook, or it looks good on social media, or looks good through an email list, but am I really doing it? If you met me in person, would I be buying what I'm selling? And for me, it's 1,000% absolutely. I have to be buying what I'm selling. So if you're saying, if you find your unique purpose this way, if you lead this way, if you do this way, then somebody meets you and goes, well, that's not even what he's doing. Like, what the? Then, it just kills everything. We find a lot of people that do that, though. There's a lot of people that do that.
It's so true. And I think people, if you can take a look at personal brand, everyone has a personal brand, whether they want to recognize it or not. And a lot of times with any great brand, in general, you can look at an organizational brand, you can look at personal brands, whatever, is a brand doesn't have mixed messaging. A really healthy, good, vibrant, long-term sustainable brand, there's not mixed messaging. They're very consistent with their messaging. So if someone's representing that brand, but when you hear them speak, when you see a commercial, when you come across social media, there's a consistency of some core things associated with that brand that you see it, you taste it, you feel it, you touch it, you hear it, you come across, and you're getting that same drumbeat, that same mantra.
Yep.
Regardless of who you come across relating to that brand. If it's a representative of that brand, if it's something put out by that brand, the good ones, there's a consistent messaging. So the more on point we are with who we are, then there's going to be a consistent message. We will become a consistent message for people not only to hear, but to see demonstrated at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Couldn't have said it better, man. Growth mindset again, man. I'm listening to you. I'm just like, am I doing that? Yeah. And I'm almost going back into the way that I lead people, and I'm like, am I embodying that? Am I living that?
Yeah. Because if
wow.
and so, a really humbling exercise to do. I call it the humble reality check. And there's a lot of people, they start to swallow the big thing in their throat when they hear this, because it is a humbling thing, is ask a few different people in your life, when I step in the room, what do you pick up from me? What's the vibe you pick up from me? Now, you could start with your family, but you want a holistic approach, asking some people in the workplace, some people on the home front, some objective people. Ideally you want maybe 2 people from this area of your life, 2 people over here, 2 people over here, 2 people over there. And you gather that information. And is there consistency? Or if we're honest, are we wearing a little bit more of the work hat over here and personal hat over here? What we at the end of the day want to be is we want to be ourselves regardless of where we are, who we're around, and what we're doing. That is the most liberating place to live out of the entire world. Because life isn't about putting this work hat on over here, and then I put the hubby or dad hat on over here, and then I put the humanitarian hat over here. No, the most freeing place to be and live out of is embracing who we are. And now that frees us up to be ourselves, our authentic self. And people are waiting with bated breath for us to be us. And so that right there, it keeps me in check. Because if now my family's saying a couple things that are very different than my colleagues in business or my board's saying or whatever the case may be, okay, there's a bit of a problem here. I'm not against, you got to button up sometimes in the professional world than you would in your personal. That's not what I'm saying. But as far as like core things, core messaging, there needs to be consistency all the way around. Because when you start seeing and experiencing your own consistency and those in tighter circles also, guess what? Other people will too in the outer circles. And,
right.
And living out of this place that I'm describing, it's not exhausting to do so. It's so freeing. And I want to see people live lives of freedom and simplicity.
Love it. Heck yeah, man. I'm not trying to live in anything complicated. That's why one of my core values. That's why one of my rules of to engage in success is to simplify the process. So we got to wrap up the show. We're gonna do a shameless plug. So take a second, and we're gonna promote your friends' websites, Facebook, social media, books, whatever it is that you want to promote. This is your time to shine. Shameless plug moment. Go.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity, number one. It's been a joy to be on with you. And I'd say for people that are, want to hear more about Lead the Way, me personally, there are a couple different great resources. One would be just my own personal website, and that's robbholman.com. Shawn alluded to earlier in the beginning of the show, Robb spelled with 2 B's, and my last name's Holman, Holman. So robbholman.com. Second would be Lead the Way, the book website. Would be leadthewaybook.com. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's online as well as online retailers. And then I'm all over social media, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, et cetera. So you can always find me on social media channels as well. So thanks again, Shawn. This has been great for me, man.
Me too, man. I really appreciate it. I've hit a couple growth moments in here. I'm like, crap, am I doing that? I was like, kind of like I don't even know what you call it, like introspective, self-perspective. I don't know even what you call it, but like looking inward, I'm like, oh no, am I doing that? So we always lead the listeners as we close the show with a nugget of knowledge. So give us a nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action today.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I'll come full circle with us even talking about perspective and gratitude, that much of the world sees the glass half empty or half filled, but I always see it overflowing. If we can begin to focus and hone in on the good in any and every situation, then what can really hold us back? So in the midst of that, one practical step I would encourage all to take, which I did share earlier, is begin every day, as soon as you open up your eyes, to give specific thanks. Have a time of intentional gratitude, and you will begin to see the levees that are in your heart and in your life that might be holding you back just broken down, and the floodgates of passion and purpose begin to come about. So I want to encourage you with intentional gratitude as soon as you wake every day.
Love it. Intentional gratitude. Robb, my friend, this has been an amazing conversation, and I just want to honor you and your time and your energy, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Listen, thanks again. I'm honored, and it's great to spark a bit of a friendship with you, and I'm looking forward to further conversation in the future. So best to you, and thanks for all that you're doing with your message and impacting leaders and people all over the world. Appreciate you, Shawn.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. So Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest who is impacting the world around him in a big, big way. If anything resonated with our conversation today, you can reach out, www.robbholman.com, leadthewaybook.com. Find him on Twitter. He's all over Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere. So connect with him, connect with Robb. So as I close, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just 49 bucks at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only 49 bucks. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Skydiving. This is amazing.
Yeah, but you know what else is amazing? An iPhone 6S for just 49 bucks at Metro.
Really?
Imagine streaming all the way down with that amazing camera. I'm switching.
That's smart.
You know what else is smart? Parachutes.
Switch to Metro and get an amazing iPhone 6S for only 49 bucks. Metro by T-Mobile. Phone offer requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. See store for details and terms and conditions.